Okay, so I got some time to make this video that'll address a couple of questions that people have been asking about how I modified this little Boardwalk Arcade DDR toy into Stepmania. Um, just know that this is not going to be a comprehensive tutorial. It's not going to be a start to finish tutorial, like from toy to Stepmania. There's plenty of Stepmania Raspberry Pi tutorials out there, very good tutorials. What I'll be covering instead is going to be more of the input side, the soldering, the wiring, how I found the terminals on the board that's already inside of there, and how I got these lights to work as well in tandem with the button presses. Before I start, I also want to mention that this is not a practical modification. What I mean by that is, if you're looking to modify this to play Stepmania regularly, it's probably not going to work out the way you're probably thinking. So everything on this little toy is made fairly cheap. If you own one of these, you know what I'm talking about. These buttons are they're very fussy, they're very heavy, and once you add a bunch more wiring below it, it just gets heavier and harder to press. It's more of a proof of concept over anything else, and ultimately falls more into a novelty at this point. So if you're expecting to maybe play Stepmania on this consistently, I would suggest otherwise. It's up to you to try. It's up to you to pursue this or not. That's your choice. But I'm just telling you from a player standpoint, it's kind of hard to play on this thing. However, if you want a controller to play, I actually sell hand controllers on my Facebook page, Stepman Designs. I am actually the original creator of this design here. It took about a year or so to design this. I'd had no previous modeling experience beforehand, so after about 7 iterations of this, I finally got on my final design. This is what I have here. It comes in Pump It Up, DDR flavors, and actually more recently, Poppin'. So, also know that if you see a very similar looking hand controller, and it's not by Stepman Designs, it is actually a shameless copy of all the hard work I did. And just know that you're not buying from the original creator. It's not meant to like gatekeep or anything. It's just I'd like to be credited for the hard work that I did in making this. I try to keep the prices as low as possible. I'll always work with you, and I just want everyone to have a good product. So again, just know if it's not from Stepman Designs, it's a copycat. It's a fake. It's a copy. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and open this up. Oh, not this. So this is the original one. I just took the bar off, but let's have a look. Oh, I guess before I actually start changing anything, get a good look at how it is now. So my Raspberry Pi's not in here. It's actually off doing its own project right now, so it's being put to separate use. This is actually a little screen. It's a 3-inch screen, 3.5-inch screen. I'll get confirmation in a little bit, but you can just get these on Amazon. They're fairly cheap, like $20. It's powered by this USB cord. I made the mistake of having to. I guess I misplaced my U-shaped adapter for HDMI to go behind straight here, so I actually had to Dremel this piece out. I feel kind of foolish about it, but in a pinch, it works. Okay, but with that, the screws are down here. Is there something down here? I don't remember. Okay. it's already like bulging out. It's really jam-packed with wires. I also add these little rubber strips. It tends to slide around a lot. Even with that, it still didn't really help the gameplay much because, you know, it's literally a toy. Okay, so let's take a look at what's under the hood here. Oof, that's, I forgot how bad that looked. Okay. Focus. So I'll be taking the board out in a second, but these are all coming back to the back here, right here, where they would go into a USB input board. Again, it's completely up to you which board you want to pick. Just a quick search online for any USB input board should suffice. And regardless of the polling rate or whatever, remember it's still just a toy. It's just a novelty, and I really don't feel like it matters too much in the grand scheme, because it's again not a super duper practical way to play Stepmania. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this board off, and we'll see what I have underneath here. Also trying to be very careful I don't snap a wire or make something come loose. There's 6 of them. I think there's 6 of them. I'm not gonna have fun putting this back together. Okay, last one. All right, I'm gonna very carefully pull this up. I think there's a whole bunch of electrical tape on there, just because I didn't want anything touching, like other wires crossing each other. So, make sure I'm focused. I'm not. There we go. Let's see. So what I have under here, oh man. All right. There we go. So I have some LEDs there, some resistors on each one. So that it's already falling apart here. I'm gonna go ahead and peel back the electrical tape and show you what I did to each one to achieve input for each lead. Okay. I think this one would be better. So I was kind of messing around with this for a while. Let me get closer. That's the start button. That would be the little red button right there. Oh boy, it's all falling apart. Hooray. These little leads on the switch here, they're pretty inconsistent. They're really hard to, well, I guess they're not hard. It's just kind of interesting how they traced out their PCB, meaning that it took a while to figure out which one was actually suitable for the ground and which one was the hot input. And I found out it was these two. I didn't see there's like 4 potential spots you could solder there. I think each of these were like that. Let me peel all the tape back. Okay, here's a better one here. So that would be the left arrow. Turn the light over here. And get to focus. So with this one, I had to run, you see there's a resistor soldered right in here, jumped into the ground as well. So I had to jump the ground wire into the resistor to ground this LED. This hot input is also crossed on the board side to get illumination when you press the button. I'm not even on the camera. There you go. So I'll put up a little, I guess a little schematic of which points need to be soldered on each of these little terminals. It was not very clear to me at first, but hopefully with a little visual aid, it'll be more clear. So you make the right solder points. Oh, also, there's these little drill holes here. That was just like a cautionary thing for me. Everything kind of traces back into the little ribbon connector that's over here. It's under the tape. And this was just to eliminate any possibility of communication between the original hardware and the new wires, so to kind of isolate themselves from everything else. So that's all that's about. So with this ground, it's not a universal ground. Let me cut 1 second. Sorry, I had a phone call. Focus. So what I was saying is each of the grounds, they're not shared, they're individual, at least for this specific board that I was using. Other boards may require you to share the ground with all the other ones. So you see the black wire here. So this would just go to this one, this would go to that one, and so on and so forth. There's only 5 buttons, so you only have to jump it 4 times. So the hot leads or the inputs are by themselves, regardless of the board you pick, I feel. So they'll be individual. So 1 wire, 1 and done. The tricky part is, or at least it was more of a afterthought for myself to add the LEDs. These are different style LEDs as well, as I just didn't have the right colors at the time, so they're different sizes. But the little ones up here, those are the 5mm diffused LEDs, and they get jumped with the ground there. So, I wish my light would behave. The only thing that gets shared on this ground is, in this case, if you want the reactive LEDs, would be the resistor side of the LED, move it on to the hot, which would also go to the board, whatever, typically like a 5 volts side of the board, and you'd connect it there. These LEDs also are individual as well, so they each get their own line. So the way I had this one set up is this would be jumped to the ground, like I'm been saying. What I'm circumlocuting at this point is that this LED is also wired to one of these up here. So when this little button gets pushed, focus, little button gets pushed, this guy turns on, and whichever one I have it actually assigned to. It's too much work to trace it. But it comes back here. Let's just say it's this one. Red wire comes up here. It's all falling apart, right? This one, and it would have been hooked up to this red one. So at the end of the day, it's not the hardest thing to do. It's just it's very precise. Get some good soldering skills going, and try not to mess up one of them like I did initially. So that's more or less the wiring side of the input board, and this is the original board from the little toy. I think that goes without saying. So as long as you just trace them into a separate board with an input handler, it should be fine. And the added lights, that's completely up to you. And they would just get jumped to the LEDs that you added over here. So once you cram all this stuff back in there, you're gonna actually have to Dremel out a lot of the inside of this little case here. Stupid camera. I don't remember what it looked like initially. Oh, let me get that. So I think these were the little screw mounting points for the back side of the little cabinet, and same thing with those, with this guy, this one, this one, this one, this one in the middle. And oh, it looks like I had to take down some of this piece here to get the little screen to fit. And even after all that work, it still wasn't a perfect fit. It kind of it sat at a really awkward angle. I don't know what the degrees was of it, but just know that it didn't sit correctly. The size of the little screen is pretty good for it, but it's not perfect. So let me show you the little screen here. It's just a little Chinese little knockoff Pi display. What should I say? Raspberry Pi display. 3.5 inches. That's what it was. 3.5 inches. Is there anything under here? Nope. That tape was just to keep it from moving around on the inside. It's powered by this little USB cable. So I'm not sure the audio part. So if I'm going to try to put it all back together, this is like on the assumption that you've maybe tried to follow these steps. I know this isn't like step by step or anything. This is more of an explanation. However, I'll try to put it all back together for you to hopefully some success, because you can see how the little things are falling apart here. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. So I would have taken the little screen and wow, oh wow. I hadn't even peeled it off yet. You know what, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Woo. Oops. This is kind of what I was talking about, where it's not the correct kind of like shape. I'm not sure. It sits a little offset. I'm not sure what's actually blocking it, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. Hold it in place. And this is what I was trying to mention with the little screen. It's slightly offset in a way that's kind of angled weird. So there's a large gap in there. But it works in a pinch. So, oh boy, all the little buttons fell out. Ooh, it's gonna be fun. Okay. So assuming put the screen back in, or the screen in, sorry. Assuming put the screen in and you have all this little wiring done and you went outside and screamed from trying to put it all back in together. Oh, I see. All the little plastic tabs broke. That's okay. Where? Oh, there it is. Also, another thing to note: if you're trying to put in additional LEDs, that they need to kind of sit. They need to kind of sit inside of the button, kind of this little open area. So I guess the smaller the LED, the better, but it will cause problems if it's a little offset. You won't be able to press a button, or if a resistor gets in the way, it's going to cause a bunch of problems. Trust me, I was about to lose it trying to seat these things correctly, and it's a lot more difficult than it sounds because they're all attached to the board, and you got to kind of finagle them around. But put that back down. I'm not gonna be super ginger about this. I'm just gonna put it all back. Please behave. Thank you. Line it up. There's little screw holes. Put one in. Oh wow, here, forgot the start button. Oops. There we go. So you line up the first screw right there. I'll probably just fast forward this part. It's just boring putting screws back in. Okay. Yeah, this one was giving me a little bit of problems. I'm actually kind of shocked I got it all seated in one shot here. Anyways. Put the little bottom cover on. This is the part where you need superhuman strength to get these wires down. I'm just kidding, of course, but okay. Really pushing it hard here. It's definitely fighting back. Okay, so the little wires are back in. Let me get my laptop, see if it actually still works or not. All right, I'm gonna put the board back in real quick, and we'll come right back. Okay. So, put the board back. Let's plug it in. And oh, something got crossed while I was putting it back together. No big deal. Let's see. Oh well. Well, the point is, I can open Setmania in the groove, whatever you like. Turn the light off so you can see. Yeah, something got jumped. Something got crossed between these two. That's not supposed to happen. And that one's always been a little dim. But that's more or less kind of a crash course how I went about this. It was interesting to learn, I guess, the insides of this little toy. It was fun to do for proof of concepting. So if you want to give it a try, I can do my best to walk you through it. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to help in any reasonable way that I can. But with that said, that's about it. That's what I did to get it all in there. Was it worth it? No, absolutely not. Was it fun? Yes. But good luck to anybody that wants to try it, and reach out, and we'll see if we can get you working with one. Also, lastly, go check out my Facebook page. Get a nice 3D printed hand controllers. Additionally, if you like customized things, I do custom work as well. I don't charge terribly high for it. So, actually, wait here. Yes, in the groove, I know. So, check it out if you like. Get yourself one of the original Stepman controllers. With that said, y'all have a nice day, and look forward to hearing from y'all if you have any questions. Take care.